The earlier you know this, the better. The food prices will actually go high crazily, or will crazily go high. And the better you prepare yourself as early as you can. By the way, what do you think will be the best? What do you think we will do if perhaps, okay, I know all of you watching me, you know what is COVID-19, or you know what is coronavirus that we had back in 2020, 2019, 2020, and 2021. What if the world was aware that the COVID-19 was coming? Don't you think we would have prepared maybe in a far much better way? Probably could have not lost the lives that we lost. Now, it is good when you know, or it will be better when you know a crisis is coming, so that you can have something called kind of sinking fund or whichever it is. Are we together? Now, this video I'm sharing with you, I'm seeing something coming, but most of the people are not even talking about it. The prices of food will actually go. And by the way, if you go, I was actually reading some different Financial Times and letters and what have you, and newspapers, and they're actually projecting exactly that. The food prices will actually go crazily high. And the earlier you prepare, the better. And how will you prepare? I'm going to share with you. And what will be the reasons why the food crisis or the food prices will actually go high? I'm going to share that with you. This is Good Joseph. All what you need to do, stay back, relax, watch this video to the end. And by the way, don't forget to give me that like button. Just like telling me, hey, Joseph, thank you for sharing this video, by the way. And also leave a comment on the comment section. Bring your own expertise. Some of you guys are financial advisors as well. You guys watching this video are economists. You can actually put your input on the point there. Anyway, let's go to the point now. Reason why I'm saying the food prices will actually go high. And actually, it's even going high as we speak right now. Number one, let me use an example of Kenya. Kenya right now, the Central Bank of Kenya, they have actually cut the rates all the way up to, let's say, roughly 10% from 14%. What does that mean? The CBK is like a Federal Reserve, okay? How can I say this? CBK means Central Bank of Kenya. If you go to your own country, you have your own version of your Central Bank of your country. Now, the other banks that usually keep our money, we call them the commercial banks. So they even borrow from this CBK. And they were borrowing at 14%. Now they are borrowing at 10%. That means the reason why the CBK lowered the interest rate from 14 to 10 is for the also commercial banks to lower the interest rate for the common people or the citizen to actually borrow from the commercial banks at an average or affordable rate. What does that mean? And I want us to go ahead into this rabbit hole, okay? The CBK lowers the interest rate from 14% to 10%. That means also the commercial banks, interest rate now goes down, let's say from 17% all the way, say, to 13%, goes down by 4%. I'm using 13 as an example. Now, what happens? This credit now becomes more affordable. And when the credit becomes more affordable to who? To business people, Then what do you think happens? The business does what? Expands. Are you together? The business now expands because the business people can afford to get that credit because now the interest has been lowered. Now, what do you think happens now? It means when the business expands, it means that we have more money in circulation. And we have more money in circulation. What do you think will happen? Inflation. That's what happens, okay? Now, the reason why the CBK and any other given Federal Reserve or a bank, the reason why they lower the interest rate is to stimulate the economy, to make sure that there is more money in circulation. And of course, that comes with its own consequences. By the way, around the month of January this year, 2025, we had an inflation, the lowest, I think, in 17 years, of around 2.2%. June, or rather March, not June, or rather March of the year 2025, I'm making this video in April 2025, just in case you'll be watching this video in 2070. Now, we had an inflation of around 3.6%. I'm projecting, Joseph, this is not official figures, we are waiting for the official figures from the CBK. I'm projecting of around 4.5% in this month of April. You see the inflation is going high due to high number of circulation of the cash, and what have you. Although this has its own advantages, you find that more jobs will be created because now people can take credit, can expand the business, and then can employ more people. Then we'll have more people with the ability to purchase. Then when you have more people with the ability to purchase, the demand will actually rise. And when the demand will actually rise, the prices of the product will actually rise in that regard. That is one factor that would contribute to the whole prices of foods and other essentials to actually increase. The other way around, we actually have an issue globally that we cannot ignore. China and the US fighting. Well, I know US is fighting almost everyone, but definitely these two giants, the US and the China, they're the two biggest economies on earth. They are the ones who are really fighting on, hey, you know what, you take advantage of the trade. Hey, you know what, the trade is actually spinning, towards your favor. How about if you, all those kind of things. And of course, that will have a trickle down effect. Or we call it the ripple effect. And then simply that means that, whenever the US catches the cold, or coughs, everyone catches the cold. And of course, whenever this trade wars comes in, what do you think will happen? The trade will be disrupted. And when the trade is disrupted, and these are the two giants, what do you think will happen? The trickle-down effect and all those kind of things. You remember the issue of COVID-19 came all the way from Wuhan, a certain city in the China, and it ended up in your local area. Probably it affected you. Some of you are actually victim of that particular, disease. And wow, it was quite a disheartening moment. Okay, now, other thing, you find that also the trade routes and also the markets has been disrupted, the pricing and what have you, the change of policies, the government wills and what have you. Let me just read you some of the things I was actually, summing up out there. You realize that it appears the food prices increasing in Kenya contributed to higher overall inflation. The cost of food in Kenya has actually increased by 6.6% in March of 2025 compared to the last year of the same period of time. Now, the food inflation has been fluctuating but has shown a general upward trend in the recent months. Factors affecting prices. Number one, several factors can influence the prices in Kenya. Number one being including increased global prices. Whenever you have an increase in terms of the, oil, when I say oil, I simply mean like, the fuel for the cars and what have you, you realize that whenever we have an increase in that, of course, that has a turn effect on our food, because almost every food we actually need to have, the transportation cost and logistics and what have you, which we cannot eliminate the factor of fuel in that particular equation. So then the other thing you find, like the local supply chain disruptions and also government policies. The policies are changing. For example, if you can dwell on the policies, this issue of the US and the China fighting on the policies, the Europe, China, like everyone is fighting for their own country. This is where now you realize that this change of policies will actually, result to problems. For example, the Secretary of State, the Mark Rubio, was supposed to visit Kenya. Again, I'm making this video at around 24th of April 2025. He was supposed to visit Kenya, but he didn't. He actually cancelled his plans here. Well, he didn't give an official explanation as to why, but as a wise person, we can think why. Because our President Ruto was actually heading to China. He was going there to sign some of the MOUs, or some of the deals, trade deals, and what have you. I mean, it's all about everyone pulling on their side and such kind of a thing. So all these policies collectively will actually contribute to having some disruptions in the food supply chains and what have you. You find like, hey, you know what? We're imposing 10% tariffs on your thing. We're imposing this, we're imposing that, and such kind of things. And then again, if you're from Kenya, you realize that the minister of, or the cabinet secretary, we call them cabinet secretaries here, not ministers, of, I think it's about trade or something like that, of agriculture, I don't know. I don't even watch news sometimes on those politicians. I feel bad. Now, anyway, the point is, he said now he can open the doors for, maize to be imported from different countries. A little bit, some times back, they were not doing that because they were actually, cautioning the farmers, who are, grow those kind of product here, so that they can actually sell all their products, But now the farmers kind of play funny games. They don't sell at that particular time. They were saying the maize is not fetching a good price. Right now, maize is actually fetching all the way from 2,800. By the way, those another figure that you can actually rely with. Can you imagine this? A bag of maize of 90 kgs, because I'm saying maize is the name as corn. We use a lot of corn here in Kenya because apparently the staple food in Kenya is called ugali. It's a mixture of, the maize flour, starched together in boiling water, and it's like a fufu or something like that. Now, depends on how you guys call it in your country. Now, what happens? A 90 kg bag was costing around 2,800. Right now, we are speaking the language of 4,500. You can just imagine the shift. And of course, this one will actually trickle down to the consumer. You realize that, how many of you watching this video, you realize that the food, the maize flour, has actually increased in terms of prices? Yes, that is the inflation. There was a time this actually a bag of maize went all the way to 6,000 to 6,000. Can you imagine if you shift from 4,500 all the way to 6,000? can just, that's why even the minister said, hey, you know what? Hey, we can actually open the doors and we can have the what? Maize being imported from other countries, and you're looking forward for that. And then the funny thing, you realize even the country that you're going to to import, even them, they don't want to sell the maize because they're also safeguarding their own citizen, of which is understandable. So then it's a complicated whole over thing. So for right now, what I will tell you, there are projections of the food prices increasing. Now, what do? What do? You simply, the moment you realize there is an increase in prices, you adjust your lifestyle. You know, there is no way you can behave. Let's say you're buying a two-pack kg of maize flour, say at 100 shilling. Now the price has gone all the way to 150 shilling. You cannot tell me you'll maintain the status quo, the behavior and lifestyle that you are having when you're buying that flour at around 100 shilling. So you must adjust yourself to accommodate the new influx or the new needed 50 shillings, so that you can be able to do what? Perhaps maybe you are going for an outing, say 3 times a week or 2 times a week. You have to cut some of those costs so that you can accommodate that particular, inflation there. Okay. Now, what happens is that the moment you plan or pre-plan yourself in this regard, you make sure, hey, you know what? Now you start looking at the things that are not necessary. You look for the must-have, the must-have, the good to have, the nice to have. Now you see which one would you kick off the table. You know, if this one is not needed, you kick that one out. You adjust here, you adjust there. That moment, that is the way now you realize, you know what? The 50 shillings that actually been included that wasn't there can actually be what? Can actually be catered for. That is exactly how you do it. The reason why you find people struggling is you still want to behave the way you were behaving when things were good, when the things are bad, and we are not in the normal times. That way, you wrestle a lot with yourself. In the process of wrestling a lot with yourself, that is when you find people actually developing what you call the panic, anxiety, depression, stress, and such kind of a thing. So adjust your budget on the same to accommodate such changes. Number two, as much as you adjust your changes, also invest for you to get more money, because there are two ways. You either cut down your expenses, are we together, to accommodate the difference, or you look for a way you make more so that you can as well accommodate the difference. But now the question is, between the two, which one is the fastest? The fastest is to cut down your cost. But is it the most effective? No, it's not the most effective. Why? Because there is a level to what, or to where you can actually cut the cost. I mean, seriously, we cannot say that you can say that you won't eat for the next 1 year so that you can buy a car or maybe buy or invest. No, I mean, logically, there is to an extent where you can actually cut your cost. But to how much you can be able to make if you were to look for more money, it's actually infinity. You can look as much as you can. One side is actually closed and the other side is actually open-ended. So the point is, you start with that, what you can apply immediately, that is to cut the cost, as you figure out how you can actually make more money on top of what you're making to accommodate the difference. Now, that is what we call being effective, and that is exactly how you actually handle yourself in such happenings, such as having us such kind of things of high cost of living, and what have you. So anyway, hope you're getting a point out of whatever I'm saying right now in this particular video. Well, that's me, and that is Good Joseph, and that's my video. And by the way, if you find value on this particular video, don't forget to leave a comment on the comment section. And also, if you need many services of mine, my number is out there. You can give me a call. We can have a discussion in one way or the other. Now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.